That angle right there. You got to get on the camera.
That's recording from that?
Yeah, that's how we did YouTube last time. And then music. I don't know if any of these are any good. This one's relationships. I can't play it on YouTube if it has that stuff, so that's okay. Oh, we already got 8 people in here. What's up, guys? Time for round 2. You guys are really bored on a Sunday night.
Yeah, don't you guys have homework? Did you have tests to study for?
Not gonna lie, I hope this turns into a weekly thing. Yeah, it is. It is a show. It's on YouTube too. If you missed it last week, Chuka, you were busy cutting hair. ACT week.
Yeah.
You better be setting a new record, herders.
Dad, ours isn't starting.
I'll come help you.
Have Uncle Eric help. It's pretty sad if you need Uncle Eric's help with technology.
Scoot your chair to let me fit in there. What are you seeing?
Yeah. See, you can do this while you do a haircut, though. There's no excuse for that.
There you go.
Rusty nails in the
You
house.
gotta turn the volume down a little bit.
Is that the music coming from the bathroom?
I don't know. I think it's coming from your iPad.
Can they got it okay?
Yeah.
What's up, Brinley? Who's got bigger calves? Garcia, you know the answer.
They're identical.
They're equally tiny. What's up, KK? Thought you'd be watching anime. Okay, you gotta like pull up next to me. I'm against the wall. All right, there we go. KK, I said hi. How many times I gotta say hi? Oh, there we go. Emma's in the house. Oh, we got the best emoji on TikTok, the Kibla.
Kibla?
The Kibla. It's a world history joke. If you were cultured in past world history
what
class,
is it?
the Kibla, the black box in Mecca that all Muslims face, it's like our secret code emoji. KK knows. You drawn pictures or what?
No, I'm telling you something.
Yeah, there's sticky notes and a pad right here. Another live, that's right, Nick. Megan Makelky's got a... Yeah, that's doable.
You know how to do it?
Just on your phone, just mute it and I'll make you a moderator.
Okay.
I tried to yell that to you before we started. No phone kids in his class. Yep. Just join and then I'll make you a moderator and just have your... Yep. Make that a little bit smaller. Can you read that on yours?
Yeah.
The .com. I think you just have a weird screen. That's okay.
So how do you make me a moderator?
That's a great question. Wow, we have 31 people in here already. Shuka. I think you have to request. I don't want to co-host. I don't know, I did it before. I think you can request how to do it. Can I be annoying? I'm 1 year sober today. Old timer. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Somebody can help us. All right, so we're gonna roll episode 2, Twintok. We've already got over 30 people in here, so Must be bored on a Sunday.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, so in terms of the sponsorship, Coach Ireland and Olympia did an awesome job with the hats last week. This week we have something even cooler, which was Makelky's idea. And her idea was that a bunch of students have asked me for help with AI tools and said like their teacher doesn't teach them how to do it. They don't know how to use it. Uh-oh. Somebody's already trying to win. She doesn't even know what she's winning yet. Definitely Caitlin. So I'm going to flip the camera here so I can see. Yeah, my sons think that's hilarious. Okay, so for the second most engaged viewer, we have a coupon code for 1 hour of AI Advantage coaching, which is basically a Zoom, and you bring a problem from your work, from your school, your resume, whatever, and you get an hour of free AI coaching. Like, how can I use this, whether it's ChatGPT or any other AI tool. There's about 6 or 7 of them that I use. Yes, Born to Yep, Paid to Teach History is now in the merch shop. That's going to be for second place. But what's really cool is for first place, especially for seniors. Where's the view at? Here's the preview. This was Makelky's idea. The top guest gets this for free. So I'm going to be your AI assistant, and you can bring any amount of scholarship applications, college admissions essays, or anything for your job, and I will build you a custom GPT, which will basically help you do all of that, and you get to use it for a week. So basically you can give me your assignments. If I was a senior in college and I could find like 20 or 30 scholarship packets, you bring those to me and I'll basically build a tool that will write all of those for you. And of course you can edit them and tweak them, which you should do. But whoever's the top guest at the end of tonight gets the AI Advantage Assistant for 1 week. And then you can keep the custom GPT that we build. Basically, it'll write like you and have your resume and everything in it. So it could apply for jobs, college admissions, essays, whatever. And it just runs in the background. So, Nicole, it depends what kind of fight we're talking about. A good old-fashioned fist fight, definitely me.
He's in better shape. He could go like a full set of rounds, but I'd probably knock him out early, or I'd lose if it went the full length. I don't know what mogs mean. What's it mean?
Mogging, my students taught me. You should ask them to teach you stuff.
Is when says who mogs who?
Yeah.
Is that inappropriate?
No. Oh. I'm trying to explain. You keep interrupting me. Mogging, as Fifth Block World History would tell you, means making the guy or lady next to you look not so great. Like, I'm well dressed and you're not, or I'm really in shape and you're not. So mogging is making the person next to you look bad. Okay, I went to the 3 dots, and then I'm trying to find the moderator. Chuka's telling me. Yeah, the lives with Tevin Harmon. So the other cool thing that we can talk about now, because it's official, is Tevin Harmon is going to come be a guest speaker live in class on Friday. If you don't know who...
Look on your screen, it says boob stay somewhere.
Okay, buddy, go back to the table.
Find boob stay.
Thanks, buddy. You guys are just goons. Now, Jay Beck, if you're gone, that's why it's going to be a podcast and a YouTube episode. You got to get in the screen. I know you got that principal weight and you're a little thicker than me, but come on now. So, Tevin is a retired semi-pro football player who's a full-time content creator TikTok personality. He has a community. He does lives, and he has had some battles with mental health issues, and that's what his community is built around. And so I said, man, you'd be a great guy to talk to a bunch of high school kids. And so Tevin Harmon's going to be remotely live in class Friday morning, but it'll be in YouTube and it'll be on the Makelky Leadership Academy podcast by the next week.
Hey, Marley, we both have dad's strength, and yeah, I got principal weight, but I also got principal strength. So keep that in mind.
He's got principal cholesterol and principal stress too.
I got principal gray hair.
He eats good at all those admin meetings that they cater to. I'm eating the principal or the teacher like ham sandwich lunch. Tevin, you got played to play football, man. That makes you professional. Like, I am now a professional TikToker because I got diamonds or something. I don't understand what it means, but I'm pretty sure I got paid. Megan is at work, so she's actually making sure. She made me do a walk around on the gimbal to show her that the laundry was put away and the dishes were done, or I wasn't allowed to get on TikTok because she does Life 360 on my phone now. So, all right, well, we're going to get to it because we always got to start off with like who's who and what's going on, because some of you have never seen both of us at the same time. That was the biggest comment I got last week, I don't know about you, was I've never seen two of you in the same place at one time. So what kind of stuff did you hear when you walked into school Monday besides, do I still have to put my phone in the yonder pouch?
Well, the number one question I got was, why is your brother such a punk? And why does he show up imitating you, wreaking havoc, and then skipping town? And I tried to explain over and over. I'm like, that's why he does it, because he can show up and do something that I then pay the consequences for. You know, people are like, did you really get beat up? Was Bam Bam really big? Yeah, Bam Bam was really big and I really got beat up. And your normal consequence of tasing a guy is you get beat up. So having a twin, that was your way of you commit the crime, but I had to do the time. The other thing is, a few people are like, hey, do you have a twin? And I was like, I've been telling you guys for almost 2 years I have a twin, but they don't believe you, or they forget until they see a picture or watch a TikTok live, apparently. So,
yeah. Well, part of it is we have to teach him how to do funny stuff with green screens and TikTok videos.
Yeah, kids are also asking when my merch store is going to drop.
Yeah. It's funny. My kindergarten son has merch before this guy, and he's a principal on a principal's salary, and he can't figure it out yet. Yeah, he wants to come to class for a day. I like this guy. He also says he wants to like do a dress off and see who dresses better.
Yeah, we can talk about excusing that as principal approved. That would be a P code in Power School.
Casey,
we'll talk tomorrow.
Casey, there's no way you can handle the smoke from my motorized tie rack, son. I'm sure you're well dressed for your, level in society, but as my students would say in world history class, I call them peasants all the time because they're the bottom of the social class. They're wearing hoodies and sweats.
Yeah, they're going to be called Makelky pouches, not yonder pouches, but we got to get a patent and a trademark. They kind of have a lockdown on that.
You better acknowledge that. That's Kayla.
Hey, thanks, Kayla. I'm not sure who your clients are. I'm guessing student clients? What does she do?
She went to beauty school and she cuts hair.
Oh.
Her and her mom have a business. They work for you, so I don't think students work for you. They're slave laborers. They don't get paid.
Oh, I see. People go to her that are staff.
Yeah. So, yep, exactly. That's who did my son's and I's haircut. And then I was talking to a math teacher at the lunch table, and they were telling me that Chuka does her and her kids' hair. So if you guys haven't gone to the link right here, because everybody's asking about the merch, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but not really.
I noticed you put it on the top of your link tree now.
Yeah, my link tree is always changing. There's a lot of stuff in here you can check out. Basically everything I'm working on, podcasts, websites. I turned one of the best football coaches of all time into a chatbot, even though he's dead, which is why my wife told me I need to start a website that teaches college students how to use AI, because I'm kind of wild. I've also published a book. Don't believe me? Check it out on Amazon. The Wyoming Roots hats bundle is still on sale for $50. But at the top, there is Makelky merch. So if you open that up in my link in bio, here's the merch shop. And there's a whole collection called Makelky, and you can get all this stuff in stickers. You can get it on coffee mugs. Lily, if you're broke, you're in my class, and I gave it to you for free. And I got 20 shirts coming by the end of the week, so I don't know what you're complaining about. There's some new ones if you haven't seen. Bruh, miss me with the textbook.
What's that mean?
It means if you teach with a textbook in the year 2024,
Yeah.
I don't want to be in your class because you're crazy. Marley, I got shirts coming, dog. All right? I'm not trying to mog you with them. And then another cool example, my students' idea, they, of course, were using AI to come up with these. Since I'm a world history teacher, I'm born to yap, but I'm paid to teach history. That's the newest one. That was their idea. Shout out to Fifth Block. I got 2 TikTok managers that teach me. And then down here, maybe the best one, bruh, do you even use AI?
I want you to tell him to,
So all that is in the link in bio.
tell him to show up my sticker that I made. today.
Here's how we got on there.
Go watch.
Link here.
Go watch.
And then this is all the stuff I got going on. Once Principal Makelky gets on my level, we'll teach him how to make his own merch shop.
Yeah, but before I start my own merch shop, we'll have the shirt with both our faces on it. So if you're supporting the good Makelky, just hold off until the design is finished and we'll have it in there.
I got one ready, but he says he wants a cooler version on it, so I didn't want to like print it and upload it yet. Out. Okay. We got a kindergartner that just wants to be on TikTok Live, which is cool. Yeah, the funny thing is, so getting back to the topics at hand here, one of my main philosophies, and if you've ever talked to kids in my class or you are one, I ask my kids stuff all the time. So if he wanted a merch shop, mine's on Redbubble, it's free. It takes like 10 minutes. If you would ask his students, hey, does anyone know how to do this? Or even just what websites do you guys buy stuff off of? The reason I did Redbubble, I just went to all the teachers I work with who have stickers on their stuff. So English teachers, of course, have like semicolon puns and things like that. But when you see people with stickers on their gear bags or their water bottles, a lot of the students and teachers told me they use Redbubble, so I just looked it up. You don't have to pay anything. If you can use Canva or Photoshop, you can have a merch shop. It doesn't cost anything. So if this guy would go back to Glenrock and say, hey, where do you guys buy your stickers, and make one that says, you know, yonder pouches are us, or less cool twin, or as first and fifth block both, someone's going to have to explain this to him in the comments, but Roblox twin, that's his new nickname, which is PG. But they had to explain to me what that meant. You don't know what that means, do you?
I have no idea what that means. Like low resolution twin or something?
No. Someone's going to say it in the comments, but during my first block, kids were saying, hey, I never saw your twin like next to you. He looks like the Roblox version of you. Yonder pouch is getting burned. Yeah, Kelly Walsh kids know nothing about that. But in terms of feedback from last time, the biggest thing for me was kids, you know, they all want to know like how many people watched and how many likes did you get and how much money did you make? And I just said, guys, I have no idea what I was doing. I just thought it'd be funny because this is stuff that he and I do all the time. Why don't we just record it and put it out there? And if for nothing else, as a history teacher, the cheesy side of this is I want my kids and my grandkids to see what it was like when their twin uncle twin, sounds like an Alabama family tree. But the two of us just talked because those of you whose parents or grandparents didn't have social media and YouTube, what would you pay to see a conversation of, you know, our grandpa, who my firstborn son's named after, talking to his siblings? Because that just doesn't exist. Yeah, Marley explained.
Yeah, that was PG. That was probably rated G.
Yeah, I've heard of Roblox. It's just like a Minecraft video game where people are square and they're saying you're fat, basically. So, yeah. And we're not doing this to make money. It's just a fun skill to have, and it's interesting. And I didn't think so, but as Jonah's liking the live, thanks, Jonah. Do you remember how many people joined last week?
Do I?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I screenshotted it because kids always say screenshot didn't happen. 701 people. Not at the same time, obviously, but 701 people came in. So we'll see if we can beat that record. And we have 2.8 thousand likes. So for all you boomers down here, you have the little hearts. If you tap those, they add up in the corner, and then you can see that's just how many people are engaged, basically. We're not going to do battles because it wouldn't be fair. We would crush everybody. So
Who's running the Vision Pursue TikTok?
that's those guys.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a story for another time. What's up, Kilgore? Shout out to the most protein savvy dude I have ever taught. That guy's getting 1 gram per pound of body weight every day like it's his job. Thanks for liking the live, Greg. Bears have a quarterback now. Good luck to him. So, let's start off with a story. When we were in high school, because most of you know us as a high school teacher, coach, principal, we had this stupid system. And if your school does this, no offense, Glenrock, if you do it, you read books and then you take a test over the book and you get points. There was this idea, right? Do the librarians know the difference between us? There's only one way to test it. And you know, since he's the principal, he's a lot less literate than me. So we did an experiment freshman year of high school where I'd go in and I'd read a book and then I'd take the test as me.
And you usually aced them too.
Yeah, well, as you can see from my bookshelf, I read a lot. I'm not very smart, but I read a lot. Yeah, Brady had to do that in middle school. Thoughts and prayers, Brady. It was terrible, but here's one of the advantages of having an identical twin. I figured if I could go in and I could take the test and get points, why don't I just wait a couple of weeks and then go in and say, hi, my name's Eric. I'm here to take the test on this book. Boom, and get the same one. And then we eventually got a system. But I can honestly say, I don't know how many books he read. He got credit for a lot of books that I did. And there was no way the librarians could tell the difference between us. And they never thought, hey, the same test Aaron always takes first. Eric always gets the same score like 3 weeks later. And the cover story was just going to be, well, I recommended the book to him because it was so good.
Yeah, my twin said it was a good read. Do you remember why you started taking those tests for me?
Because once you got to high school, there weren't just picture books and you needed help. I don't know.
That too. I'm pretty sure I forced you to and said, hey, you're reading all these big Tom Clancy books that are worth 20 AR points, and I don't want to do more homework. And I kind of put the screws to you and kind of forced you to do it. I think I may have blackmailed you somehow.
You might have bribed me. How would you have forced me to? You're making it sound like you put me in a headlock and made me read a book for you.
I think that's what happened, actually. A lot of people want to know who's the stronger twin and who'd win in a fight. I'd say the one who's not reading the books and taking the test, right?
I'd say that's definitely the lower achieving student. That you also went to Rocky Mountain College, so I think that answers
Montana's
part of it.
first and finest. Also, if your ACT score is too bad to play Division I think the minimum. Do you know what the minimum NCAA score is on the ACT composite?
There isn't such a thing for the NCAA anymore. It's just a GPA.
No, there is a minimum at ACT at 16. But I found out at Rocky, NAIA, especially a private school, there is no minimum. They have exceptions if you don't meet the standard entrance requirements, and you can write an essay. Because there was a guy, won't say his name, no joke, got a 9.
I've never
they
seen
say
a 9
monkeys
before.
have gotten a 10 on the ACT. I don't know if that's true, but
Thanks, Case, for the rose.
he supposedly got a 9 on the ACT.
Okay, well, here's what some of you are realizing as Sean is liking the live, which we appreciate. You guys think teachers and coaches were all A-plus students and followed all the rules. I've worked for a bunch of different principals. I've never worked for him because that wouldn't go well for either of us, but I know him pretty well. Part of why he's good at busting vapors and handling behavior issues is because he was once a student. Now, that doesn't mean he was vaping and doing all that. Vapes didn't exist, but he knew the systems that people used. And if we told stories about, where we went to school, it wasn't vapes, it was chew. And we could tell 100 stories about chew on wrestling buses, locker rooms. I mean, I have one from government class that's PG. The dude involved isn't around anymore, so I don't think he'd be too offended. I wouldn't use his name. But part of what makes you a good principal or teacher is you understand how kids operate. So if you're going, oh my goodness, a principal 32 years ago had his twin take an AR reader, maybe that's why his school doesn't use AR reader anymore.
Well, and you don't want some naive person who never made mistakes to be a principal, right? Because then you expect everybody to be perfect, and that's not realistic. So I tell parents that all the time. Like, I got in trouble. My principal was, Mr. Zempel, was cruising around the school this year, and kids asked when we were in the wood shop, did Mr. Makelky ever get sent to your office? And he's like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And he told them a story, and no matter what happened, he would just say, I'm sending you to your dad. I mean, even the chief of police, when I called myself out of school impersonating dad, I'm like, hey, can you send Eric down? He has a dentist appointment at 9:30. And I get a buzz, your dad called you out. The chief shows up and is like, I could write you all these tickets and you'd be in all this trouble, because I slid on the ice and hit a semi at an intersection. He's like, but I'm just going to take you back to school and tell your dad. So, which was worse than a principal suspending you or putting you into detention. I also had that same principal would come to wrestling practice with his dress shirt on and put the leg right in and beat the crap out of me, dropping power halves. You gonna be late to class again? You gonna do that again? And those are discipline measures that are no longer sanctioned in public schools. So be lucky. I don't know why that's changed. Probably parents, but
Well, and anybody who's had their principal or teacher is also their wrestling coach. They don't send you to detention or write you up. They just say, I'll see you at practice and you're my practice partner. And they just literally beat you up. And that's worse than any kind of detention or ISS that you could get.
yeah.
So, you had a story about officials and football games on the list. Why don't you tell the story of Rock Springs playoff game?
Yeah, I came to watch, I don't know, it would have been 3 or 4 years ago. I showed up a little late. It was like 15 minutes before kickoff, and I get to the gate at the stadium wearing one of your green coaching shirts, and the Rock Springs AD looks at me and he goes, I'm eating in like a Subway sandwich, and he looks at me and he goes, hey, coach, did you stop for a quick dinner break? And I'm like, yep, and just keep walking. So I get there, and, I want to help. It's hard being a retired coach. It's hard to be on the sidelines of a football game where you don't know the offense, the defense, the kids, or the coaches. But I just came out on the sidelines and tried to look for a way to be useful and productive. That's why now, as an administrator, I usually sit in the score booth so I don't get in trouble. Going into coach mode, and I found a really good use of my presence at your games where people thought I was you, and that is working the officials. So right before halftime, there was a very questionable call, and I disagreed respectfully about illegal touching. The officials said your receiver stepped out of bounds and then caught the ball. And so what I did is, there was 30 seconds left, the second quarter ends, and you guys go into halftime, and I just walked with the officials' crew to their locker room, and I pulled out my officials book, and I was, read me the rule on illegal touching, read me the enforcement on illegal touching. And after about 15 minutes, the white hat, who ironically knew me, goes, Coach Makelky, don't you need to go in there and coach your kids? And I go, no, my number one priority right now is coaching you, because if you don't know the rules and you're in charge of enforcing them, who cares what my team's doing in the locker room right now? And they're like, whoa, this guy is intense. And I knew, they're not going to throw a flag in the locker room on me. So I tried to keep it PG, but I literally spent the full halftime in the officials' ears. I will have my rule book. If you guys need an officials timeout and want to read it, you know where to find me. So I feel like that made them know hey, let's double check our work before we enforce any penalties incorrectly. And I've done that a little bit over the years, just keeping in the ear of the head linesman or the line judge, and they think I'm you. So if there's something I can do to help work officials, it frees you up when you were coaching to focus on your team and your coaches on your headset.
Yeah, and a story from that same game, I remember I was calling plays and I stepped back into the team box, so the play's about to go live. And to my right, about 3 players away, there's a kid who's looking at him talking to one of the other teammates. So they're looking away from me. And he's on his phone. I have no idea who he's talking to in the middle of a football game, but his cell phone is up to his ear. And I'm like 3 players away from this kid, and I hear him go, "Who's Coach Mac calling in the middle of a game?" And I'm like, does he not see, 1, that's not me, and then 2, I'm standing like 10 feet away from him. But since he saw one version of me, we'll say, over there, he was looking to his right, watching him talk on the phone, and then they were all like, what's he doing in the middle of the game? He should be calling plays. And I know if I would have tapped him on the shoulder and said, that's not me, he just would have been super freaked out, and it would have been a bigger distraction than it already was. So I just laughed and let it go. But there were kids staring at him while I was on the sideline next to him thinking he was me.
Yeah, I was telling my girls goodnight on speakerphone, probably. Called my wife.
Yeah, I'd say reading them a story, but that would require you to be able to read, and we've already established based on accelerated reader, it's probably just picture books.
Yeah,
on FaceTime.
Preschoolers have a lot of picture books and shape books and number books. How about the story, speaking of making the other twin look bad, how about when you showed up and I was teaching middle school English, and you made my principal think that he was going to have to fire me for ditching?
Yeah, so this is a great story. I was teaching and coaching in South Dakota on the reservation because that's the only place I could get a job as a history teacher. On spring break, I went to where he lived, and I drove a 1993 white Ford Taurus.
That was the nicer of the two.
Yeah. Shout out Grandpa Swyhovic. Peace be upon him. That was my graduation present. I got a 93 Ford Taurus. And I wanted to go fishing in Wyoming where he lived. Yeah, we're telling a prank story. And so I texted him or called him and said, "Can I come to your school and I'll park next to your truck, take it fishing, and then you can have my car. I'll just leave the keys in it." To which he said,
so it's either lunch break or planning period, and my principal comes running down to my classroom, and I'm a first year teacher, so I'm a little on edge. And he comes running down and goes, "Hey, you want to explain why a parent just told me you were wearing waders and pulling away from school at the end of 4th period?" When you get accused of doing things you didn't do but your twin did, you got to make a decision. Do I have time to explain that I have a twin and he borrowed my truck, or do I just kind of give him the short answer? So I don't remember what I told him, but he obviously didn't believe me. And he's like, "Well, I thought something was up because after the parent, was like picking their kid up and said at the front office, I just saw Mr. Makelky and his waiters pull away from school in his truck. The principal said, I went out there and looked in the parking lot and your truck is gone." And I said, "Yeah, well, look what's parked next to my truck, a white Ford Taurus with South Dakota plates." And he's like, "Well, what does that have to do with you going fishing?" And it just confused him. But luckily it was okay. What wasn't okay was the 7th grader that you made her brain melt when you came, and we thought we were being funny as kids. We switched classes on April Fools and never got caught, even when our dad was our own teacher in high school for multiple periods. But we planned out a day. I think I told you the lesson. It was like Martin Luther and the Reformation, maybe 7th grade U.S. history or world history. And we wore the same shirt, same tie, same color slacks, same brown shoes, and planned it so that at like 10:05, I grabbed a Kleenex and I told the class, "Oh, excuse me, I got to blow my nose." And I awkwardly walked out of the classroom, and you came in and picked up right where I was mid-direct instruction. And I remember I'm like, what am I going to do while he's teaching my class? I'm like, I'm going to the staff lounge, got a cup of coffee, checked out the newspaper. It was about 5 minutes. And then I came back in the classroom, and I saw you up there at the front board, the smart board, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing in my classroom? And what'd you say when I walked in?
We just had an argument over, I'm teaching class. This is Mr. Makelky's history class. Who are you?
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm Mr. Makelky. Who are you? And some kids were kind of laughing. Some were kind of horrified. But this one poor 7th grader, I still see her dad about once a month in Casper, just started crying and had to go like see the counselor because she couldn't calm down. And I had told the kids I have a twin, but we just thought it'd be funny to switch classes, and nobody noticed. Obviously, I mean, you did a good job filling in because kids had no idea. I've also warned the secretaries in Glen Rock, and they think when I first told them this, they thought I was being crazy or OCD. But I said, no matter what happens, if I'm at the front door ringing the buzzer and I say your name, I forgot my keys in my truck, please buzz me in, they are not to open the door. And they're like, well, why? And I'm like, because it's my twin and that's his trick. He will find out your name. He will wear a purple shirt. I mean, he's got a green screen background of the Ram door somehow.
Don't ask me how I got that.
I don't know how you 5 minutes before first block pull out a purple outfit and green screen the Ram door and make a PSA imitating me. But that was something that you did at the middle school I was the principal of. I don't remember if I was assistant principal or principal when you did it, but he came up to the door and he rings the buzzer, and I don't even think you had to lie. I think the secretary just let you in, but somehow you knew her name. Oh, hey, Sid, thanks for letting me in. I left my keys in my office.
Every school has a website. You can just look up the staff.
And so I had no idea he was in the school, and no one else did. I was like in classrooms in one wing of the building. It was right before dismissal. And I come around the main office and go to the next hallway, and I see him at, I think, the bus dismissal door. Maybe it was the parent pickup door. And you were yelling at kids, no running in the hall, walk in the hall. Hey, make good choices this weekend. Be a leader, make good choices. And the kids, you may have assigned a lunch detention or a after school detention, because I believe I got a parent complaint saying, hey, how come you're giving my kid detention just for running out of the building at dismissal? And I got confused. I was like, I didn't even talk to your kid. I didn't even see your kid today. And then, of course, I tried to apologize and say, well, my identical twin snuck in wearing a shirt and tie, and he was imitating Principal Makelky being a punk. So, again, another good example of you do the crime, and I had to do the time.
Yep.
Being mean to kids in the halls at the school I was the principal of.
Yeah. Sean, thanks for sharing the live. Just as a reminder, because we are T-minus about 25 until we're done, the sponsor this week was Makelky's idea. So shout out to the person who dresses me and gave me the idea for this. But second place in terms of engaged viewers, which right now is Case Barrett. He's crushing third place.
Batman.
Uh-oh. Reagan Mills is in the house. Thanks for joining. Second place at the end is going to get an hour of AI Advantage coaching where you get a Zoom with me, and my students and colleagues will tell you I'm the kind of the crazy AI guy. Oh, there goes Case again. He's coming for first.
He's using that AI to optimize his workouts and his protein intake. I already tell you what he's going to use it for.
He must be one of your herders. I actually used AI to get myself to start running, and that's a story for the next one. But first place, which if you can beat Caitlin Spam, good luck. First place is going to get this for free. You get an AI assistant for a week. So I don't care what your job is or what college class you're in. It's almost finals week. Seniors in high school, this was Makelky's idea. You can go grab every scholarship application you can find. Bring it to me or digitally send it to me, and I will build you a custom AI tool that will write and give you ideas for unlimited scholarship applications, admissions essays, or anything you do for work for a week. And Makelky's idea was most people don't even apply to the small local scholarships that are a couple $100 each. Wow, Case is blowing everybody up trying to get the AI assistant for a week. Holy cow. All right, somebody's got to beat Case then because he wants to win this. But you get that for a week, and you just get my work email. This is not associated with anywhere that I teach and work for a living. This is through aaronmakelky.com, which is not me. And you get that for a week. And so on 48-hour turnaround, you go, hey, I have 55 local scholarships I want to apply for. I will build you an AI customized writing tool to do anything you want for a week. Please notice right here, it clearly says ethical/legal, which I have final say on that. I'm not going to help you impersonate your twin or anything crazy like that. But that's for the top two at the end of the live, which right now Caitlin is winning the assistant and Case is winning the 1 hour AI Advantage coaching call. So we'll see who's there at the end. If you guys haven't shared out the live, hit the little share arrow at the bottom and then send it to your buddies or somebody who went to school or played on one of our teams and let them know that we have that going on and they can come watch the last 20 minutes.
Would you, if I agreed to it, would you want to trade one day and show up and be the principal? I don't think you could handle it, but would you want to do it?
Do I have to follow your philosophical take on everything?
Well, you can't get me fired. I'd say that's the one ground rule.
How are they going to tell? Do a DNA test on me, superintendent. You can't tell the difference. School board members,
I'm going to get back to... He's going to be at my office tomorrow morning and say, we got a code word that you can't tell your twin, so he can pull out anytime. Isn't that what people say? Like a story or something that only he would know or I would know?
Like use the word...
Would you want to do it, though? Would you want to be the principal for a day?
It depends. I mean, I would. I don't have Fridays off like you. I have to work 5 days a week. I'm overworked and underpaid, unlike you principals in Glen Rock. You're underworked and overpaid for a 4-day week. But yeah, if it worked out with my schedule.
Okay, well, if you do, your day starts at 4:40 a.m. If you're not in the weight room, Mr. Gray knows something's up, and he's going to pull the prank alarm. You think you can make it in at 4:40?
Well, I mean, I'd have to drive to Glen Rock. I'm usually working out 20 steps away downstairs in my own gym, but I can handle anything. I don't think you can handle teaching at Kelly Walsh because the contact high from the Benjamins and the vapes.
What are Benjamins?
You got to ask kids to teach you words so you can bust them.
Is it like a kind of vape?
Yeah, with the special juices inside. I don't know. I don't really understand, but hitting the Benjamin, yeah, that's PG-13.
Yeah, Kayla, I don't think I'd want to teach at Kelly. It makes me uncomfortable in a hallway where I was asking kids. I was actually their guest teaching this school year and last year. Like, what's the policy on hats? What's the dress code? Kids got, switchblades sticking out. I stopped to use the restroom and the urinals are full and kids waiting in line are hitting their vapes. And it's just like, I don't think I could teach in a school like that. I don't ever want to be a principal in a school like that. Just seems like a monumental task to have any kind of positive change.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not a knock on our school. It's just, you can't understand the difference in culture of a school of 2,100 kids. The population of Glen Rock inside the city limits is probably less than who's in our school every day, because that doesn't count teachers as 110, and then all the assistants and support staff, custodians, ESPs. I mean, there's if all the Trojans came to school every day, which doesn't happen, that's 2,300 to 2,400 people in one building. It's got more stories than any building in Glen Rock, I know that. Yeah, a few have done both. Our wives should switch places. The problem is our wives don't look like each other. Yeah, the teachers who have a stick.
Well, and our kids noticed the difference. We had a group, I want to say a choir group, go and perform at Kelly Walsh, and they came back the next day, and they're like, in the middle of a performance in the auditorium, Kelly Walsh kids were answering their phone and having conversations during other teams' performances. And I would just like to think that in a small school, in a small community, blue collar, like our kids have way better manners and common sense than a lot of the kids in Casper do. And that's not a knock on the teachers or administrators. It's just a different way of life. And I think we have more old-fashioned values instilled in our kids, like common courtesies and manners. Kids hold the door all the time. Kids say please and thank you. They make eye contact with you and know how to have human conversations. And I hate to, call all Casper kids bad names or judge them based on the behavior of some, but I think we have way better kids that have been raised with better values than you guys are working with.
Yeah. Well, and to answer Sean's question, we do have a sibling. We have a younger brother. He's 7 years younger, but he doesn't look anything like us, and he's way smarter. Your boy Casey wants to come learn the zen of teaching history and leadership. So
we'll talk tomorrow. Let's talk tomorrow.
Can I tell him what it's really like, though?
To come shadow you?
Yeah, like what would that look like?
Well, he's got to tie it to a standard if he wants it excused.
Yeah, I'm gonna before he asks for something, he should know what he's trying to get into. So in a typical day, let's say this week, we have a guest speaker coming Wednesday first block because I only teach my class about half the time. I learned that when you're not very smart, you just use other people to help teach your class because students will listen to someone besides yourself. Yeah, we'll finish with that at the end. But I have a gimbal with my phone on it, I don't know, like every other day in class. And then one of the cool things, we'll do a carousel of photos when Makelky's here. But like we have these fancy wireless mics, and so part of the time in class, students walk in and I'm putting this on, and then I have a phone and a gimbal and all sorts of crazy stuff. And then I have a laptop over here that I'm airdropping files to.
I'm going to take a picture of your setup. People ask me what it looked like.
Yeah. That's why I took a selfie last time, because there's like 3 screens in front of us, a light, mics. Got the podcast mic and the headphones if you listen to the podcast swung out of the way over here. So it's pretty legit, like office setup. But your phone wouldn't be in a pouch because we're at Kelly Walsh. But
yeah, you're in the Wild West, man. It's every man for himself.
yeah. And the first thing is you got to get there early to get a parking spot. But I didn't used to do that, but it is different because now kids will ask me a question, or on Tuesdays, every Tuesday in second block, I film a video podcast episode. And so I'll have office aides walk in and they're bringing a pass and they're used to a teacher standing in front of the smart board, pointing at a map or having kids read out of a textbook. And they come in and I have a mic and a gimbal and like a streaming light. And the office aides just look at me like, what is this guy doing? And so that's what you're signing up for. And then the other thing is my students, like on Friday, we were doing an assignment. And I'm the kind of teacher that's all about using your resources, but I teach students how to do that, Casey. And, well, you got to apply to be on the podcast. We don't just let anybody on. But my students, I forced them to use an AI tool to do an assignment. Now, that wasn't write my essay for me. It was, hey, we use Microsoft Copilot. Answer this for me from this context. They pasted that in, and then their job, as Marley will tell you because he was in the class, their job was to evaluate how well the AI could do the task. So it wasn't just copy and paste. And those are things that we do all the time because I tell my students, if you're not using AI 30 minutes a day, you are behind your peers because the smart ones are.
Yeah, it's not cheating if you're using it to do things more efficiently or automating things you can do to save you time to spend energy and effort on more important things than things that you do repetitively that aren't that impactful. So, yeah, I think some kids heard about the podcast I was doing last year, and they heard the episode about using like email AI tools because I send the same repetitive repeating staff memo every week, and it's like I literally one day was like, I spend 45 minutes on this every single Thursday morning before school, and I could use AI to do most of it, and then just add the essential stuff to it, and it saves a ton of time. It's not cheating. If you're using it for a grade in a class, I think most teachers have AI checkers, like they'll turn it in that checks for plagiarism. I know a lot of people sell apps that can detect AI in your English essays or your stories you're writing for class for a grade. So
Yeah. Shuka knows better than anybody. She was forced to be in a classroom with me longer than anybody. The problem with those is if you look at the research, the most accurate AI detection tool out there is 80% accurate. And that's why one of the reasons Makelky talked me into helping college students learn how to use AI is if you go on TikTok, so ask anybody in the chat, if you guys were looking up a tech thing, how to use your phone, how to use an app, how to use AI.
how to post on TikTok?
People go to TikTok to, how do you think I figured out how to put this banner up here? So Tevin gave me the idea, but he didn't tell me like, do it in this resolution and then green screen. He's just like, hey, you should do this. But I went on TikTok and searched how to do a banner on a TikTok live. And kids will tell you, because in 1 minute, you'll get the brunt of what you need without an ad. If you went to YouTube, you'd have to scroll through 3 sponsored posts, click on the one you want. It's an 18-minute video, and you had to watch 30 seconds of ads just to get there. They go to TikTok. And so part of the idea was, if you go to TikTok to learn how to use AI tools, this is a true story. When I had this idea for Makelky of maybe I should be the AI teacher, but I teach you how to use AI tools. On TikTok, if you don't believe me, go search for how to use AI to write your essay or study. And the very first thing that popped up for me was like a 17-year-old kid with a t-shirt wrapped around his face like a shiesty. And he's like, let me teach you how to use AI. And I'm sitting there wearing a shirt and tie with a master's degree in
Educational leadership.
educational leadership, like, you know, being a principal. I'm not one because I'm too smart
When
to
you're
be
learning
one.
from a shiesty TikToker.
Yeah, and I'm like, if I was a kid, would I learn from fake shiesty, you know, Hanes t-shirt guy who is maybe a freshman in college? Or the teacher who goes, I know what's cheating and what's not because I grade all the papers and I use a program called GPT-0. Oh, Casey's trying to get the AI assistant for a week. You could get so many scholarships just by being the only one that
That
wrote
dude
them.
already has, he might already have school paid for, and he's got another year.
Yeah, well,
He's going to be sending back donations to the principal savings account.
the gangster glasses. Oh, we got a battle between Casey and Caitlin. I'm telling you, Casey, I respect the game. I really do. I've never seen anyone beat Caitlin at TikTok anything. She had the OG viral video when Kelly Walsh burned down. Didn't really burn down, but when it was on fire, she made the funny video. She runs TikTok. She teaches me how to do stuff all the time. So you're just fighting for second, Casey. But we're going to finish with a twin story, and then in like 4 minutes, we'll see who's number one. Hunter and Jackson, thanks for sharing the live. Okay. History will be the judge, Casey.
He's got the corporate credit card tied to this TikTok account.
You better be recharging, dog, because uh-oh, you said it. If you don't know what that means, boomers, the galaxy is when things get real. But think about how many scholarships are you going to get, or if you're a disaffected teacher in the 2400s that's like, I don't know what I want to do for a living. With a week of... And the way it works, Casey, is I'll get some written work from you. So if you've written essays for English class, whatever, we'll analyze it for your Lexile level, basically just how you write. Uh-oh, we got the swan. Principal Makelky doesn't know what that is, but it's a good thing. But you can use this unlimited for a week, and you get my work email, and you just send me projects, and it's a 48-hour turnaround time as long as it's ethical and or legal. And then second place, which right now, let's just make sure, is Caitlin. You get an hour of AI coaching to do whatever you want to do with that.
Oh, Casey's in first?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, you can use it any week you want. So if there's like, you want to line up a bunch of scholarships in Google Drive or something, or college admissions. Uh-oh, got the money gun. All these get screenshotted. I'll have to show you what it looks like when we're done. So we got T-minus 2 minutes till Principal Makelky's got to go to bed because he's a boomer who has to lock up phones at 4 a.m. I'm not going to school tomorrow, Trojans. But here's the last thing. Principal Makelky requested this story. This is the closest I've ever been to fighting a random person. He lives in a small town in Wyoming. Uh-oh, got the gloves. Man, I don't think anybody's going to beat Caitlin, though. I stand by my prediction. I come visit him. I think I was still in college or teaching in South Dakota, but I didn't live in the state of Wyoming at the time.
Well, you weren't in... Oh, yeah, that's right. It took you a year. You were a super senior in college, weren't you?
Yeah, uh-oh, the corgi.
And you weren't working on your master's or using that fifth-year eligibility.
You know what?
It was when you were teaching in South Dakota, probably.
Haters gonna hate, but I got to live in Aunt Connie's basement for free. You guys should be sharing this if you haven't already. And I got to fly fish in Bozeman, Montana for a semester. And here was my daily routine. Robocall from the school district if there was a substitute teacher job. I think I got paid $100 a day. If I took it, I'd get paid. If the weather looked good and I wanted to fish, I just wouldn't answer the call and I'd go fishing. And every day was either sub or fish, blue ribbon trout stream. So I regret nothing taking 7.5 years to graduate. But I came to visit him. Small town grocery store that has like a lunch counter as Caitlin's sending the roses trying to win and the donuts. And I'm sitting there. Eric is off shopping somewhere in a different part of the store. Don't have visual range. And I think I'm eating chicken strips at the lunch counter, just sitting down by myself in a town where I know nobody. And all of a sudden, I feel this wet thing get thrust into my ear hole. And I grab the finger and I turn and there's just some guy I've never seen in my life. And he's smiling at me. He's like, hey. And I just said, get your effing finger out of my ear. And he goes, whoa, Eric, chill. And I was like, Wyoming people don't say hello. They don't say what's up. They don't say, good afternoon. They just stick their wet finger in strangers' ears.
Oh.
Festival bling. And so...
My only regret is I got to hear about it secondhand from both he was my neighbor and assistant football coach, and from you. And the real irony, I guess, kind of like we told the story about the Kelly Walsh mom that gave me a thank you hug, and you never got a thank you hug. Well, my neighbor gave you a wet willy in the grocery store. He never gave me a wet willy. That sounds kind of creepy. Like, I didn't know people still do that since about 1989 in fourth grade.
I don't think
swirlies and wet willies and wedgies.
I don't think I've had a wet willy since then, and that was probably 12 or 14 years ago.
How long did it take him to realize it wasn't you, weren't me? Did he apologize, or was he just confused?
I was ready to fight. I just thought somebody was assaulting me, and I think within 30 seconds or a minute, because he saw how mad I was, and then it registered in his brain, oh my gosh, that's not Eric. And I told him I was a twin, but what's funny is people don't think of that. When they see you, their brain doesn't go, maybe that's his, identical twin. Caitlin's sending the cap. Your brain doesn't register that in the moment. You just go, oh, I know that guy. Let's be funny. Wet Willie. And then he grabs your finger and says, get that out of my effing ear. And you're just like, oh, you're in a bad mood today, Eric. But that's part of it. Mark is asking for the engagement story. And part of the fun of having a show like this on Sunday nights is we always got to save some things and tease you with what's next. But Mark, shout out to Mark for letting me marry his daughter, who is probably watching from work right now, making sure the dishes are done. I old school, and I'm sure you were too, and everybody out there who's listening. I
That's
know
why it's important to learn how to shake hands. And this is the example I tell kids every day when they don't know how to shake hands.
Yeah, Glen Rock kids don't need a lecture on manners, but you do not marry a woman without asking her father's permission. And most fathers aren't going to say no anyways, but it's like you still have to do it. It's a traditional thing. And the story of that conversation is pretty hilarious. He accidentally trolled me on the phone and threw me off my game. What's up, Tevin? Thanks for liking. And so we'll tell the story of that, and also the story of how Makelky and I got engaged, because I'm going to write a book about that someday, and I'll make way more money writing the book of how I ended up marrying my wife than I ever will teaching, even with a master's degree in Wyoming. Thanks, Tevin. So in the final moments here, we got to see who's going to win between the top two, and we'll flip the screen. But right now, it looks like Caitlin's spam is in first place, and Casey is in second. I hate to say I told you so. And then Tevin's in third. Tevin doesn't need any AI help, but he's going to get some podcast help when he comes on the Leadership Podcast. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you letting me marry your daughter and tuning in tonight, too.
Are we going to tell that story or not?
Yeah, next week.
Okay.
So, thanks, Chuka. It was fun. We'll have to do one of these while you cut our hair next time or something. You could sponsor us and give away a haircut. But second place, an hour of AI Advantage coaching. And then first place, you could get a lot of scholarships with this, especially if you have a good transcript from Glen Rock Junior Senior High School. $1,200, you get it for free. Looking at that, yeah, Casey, I told you, dog, you're not catching her. So, Casey, you can send me a message of what email you want me to send the invite, and I just have a calendar, and then you can go in and you can just plug in. This is like my calendar, and so when you get a link, you go pick the day and you get 1 hour, and we can work on whatever you want, essays, assignments, summer job applications, whatever. But the big prize is Caitlin. Don't mess with her because she always wins on TikTok. You're going to get a week of an AI assistant, and so I'll build it to do whatever you want. I'm telling you, seniors, if you're trying to get scholarships, the best hourly job you can have as a high school student is applying for college scholarships. Case is trying to win too. I appreciate that, Case. Oh my goodness. I think he is going to win unless somebody left. But you can use this unlimited times for a week. So, Caitlin, you just got to tell me when you want that to be and what you want it to do. She's throwing like gummy bears, and Case is throwing.
Is she donating the prize back to the second place winner? She said,
did she?
She said, Casey, you can have the weak AI assistant. I have no use for it. I just wanted to win. It's like winning at the auction and donating it back.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Good thing you were reading the chat. All right. So Casey, then you win that. It's same thing. Send me an email and I'll give you a link. Yes, Casey, it's yours, my man. Thanks,
Ask
Tevin.
her if she wants second place or if it's going to third.
Yeah. And Caitlin, will you just let me know in the chat, do you want the 1 hour? Do you want this for free or nah? Because Case is trying to get that if you don't. I mean,
he's number 3.
And Caitlin would laugh because she's like, Makelky would help me with anything anyways. So I'll ask her tomorrow, and then Case, send me a message and I'll give you a link to the calendar invite. Yeah, there you go. Caitlin's the best. She runs TikTok. She's my TikTok manager, second block. So for everybody else, if you guys haven't checked out aaronmakelky.com, it's in the banner at the top. You can go there. The idea is a lot of you have teachers that don't teach you how to use AI, and who are you going to trust to learn how to use it to lower your stress and raise your grades without cheating? Well, the best person to know how to do that is a teacher, because that's what I do every day for a living. And my students tell me all the time I'm the only teacher that shows them how to use that and even requires them to use those tools. And they all know this is true. Principal over here listening. If you aren't learning this stuff, you're behind. And you're going to need it in your future job. You're going to need it in college. So my idea was I might as well share that with people who aren't in my class. And if you're in my class, you get it every day. So final thoughts for you, Principal Makelky. It sounds like there's an open challenge to let me be the principal of Glen Rock High School for a day. Are you open to exploring that with your bosses and powers that be? What about just a job shadow to mess with kids? Throwing this out there. I don't have to say anything. I'll just eat a box of jelly donuts every day for a week and stop working out so that we'll look similar. And then we'll just dress the same and just walk around and tag team everybody who's like vaping. Yeehaw. Everybody who's vaping and just be like, there's 2 of them. And you can, like, I don't need to make any decisions. Suspend that kid or fire that teacher or give that teacher a raise. They're awesome. That's a sweet cowboy hat. But just say, like, there's 2 of us at work for a day.
Well, I've always wanted that because one of the things I started doing this semester is I have a rolling cart desk. Have I told you about that?
Yeah, I'm the one who sent you. There's a principal on TikTok that does it. He just doesn't have TikTok.
I heard about it from my mentor at Rocky. He got into Mac McGann, got into social media. But, you know, every time I go in my office for a meeting or to call a parent back on the phone, there isn't active supervision or just going in classrooms and doing the best part of the job, seeing what teachers are teaching and kids are learning. So it'd be fun to switch, like, for a day where one of us is on the rolling cart desk out in the commons area doing lunch duty, checking bathrooms, doing yonder pouch compliance checks. You know, one of the perks of the job, besides a rolling desk, it comes with a metal detector on the cart and a fly swatter. And some kids have asked what the fly swatter's for. They know what the metal detector's for. It dings on your phone or your vape. Fly swatter's just for knocking down hornets in the hall, trying to help the custodians out. So, yeah, it's a possibility. You'd have to go through a fingerprint background check, you know, get on the volunteer list, and you wouldn't be paid, but we can see.
Well, what's funny is I have a principal license in the state of Wyoming, so it's the same one you have. I just don't want to use it. Case has been blowing up. Case, I appreciate you, man. Your principal, you herders are slowly winning him over and opening his eyes to your guys' world. Like, now when somebody says, I'm throwing roses in the chat, he would not have known what that meant 2 weeks ago. He'd be like, is that at the play in the 1700s when they throw roses on the stage? And you'd be like, damn, this guy's old. Yeah. But now he knows, so I appreciate that. You shared a ton, Case.
Yeah, thanks for keeping it PG. That's always my biggest worry when you see students on here. It's like, keep it PG. But they did a good job last week and a really good job tonight.
Yeah, and the moderators didn't have to bounce anybody out. Thanks for the donuts, Caitlin. Those are the only donuts I'm going to eat tonight. And then I would say this. We have students in leadership that do a leadership shadow. So not just a job shadow, I want to be a cop, follow a cop, but just somebody who you know in the community who's a leader, and we excuse them for a day to just go shadow them. And I've had students shout out Micah Stoner, who went and shadowed a social studies teacher and said, he's a great leader, I just want to see what he does. And so if you herders, especially on a Friday, want to come see the TikTok Makelky teacher, I'd also make you a deal. You could be on the leadership podcast. We would just do it audio only, or do video and crop you out of it. But I have a setup at school with some mics in my desk and my laptop that does all this stuff. And I've had students come in on their lunch break and be anonymous students on the podcast because I can't use your name, obviously. But if that's something your principal would excuse you for, I would take any herder who wants to come, and I'd let you talk to my classes, ask them questions, see what it's like. If you think we're exaggerating about how many dudes are ripping the vapes and hitting the Benjamins in the bathrooms, you can come see it yourself, because you should go to the source, history teacher's primary source.
Yep.
So for everybody else, I appreciate you joining tonight. It was a ton of fun. I think we got them sold. Episode 3 next Sunday. We'll post some stuff and do some carousels of pictures and things like that. I was proud of him. He did his first TikTok post of his life. That was huge. But for everybody else, just tap my name up in the top corner and you can go to my link tree and see what else is going on and check out the website if you want to get an hour of AI coaching Or if you're going to be looking for scholarships, while you sleep, my AI bot will be writing you scholarship applications exactly how you write, and then you can tweak and edit them and use them however you want, or job applications. So check that out, aaronmakelky.com. Thank you guys for joining us. This was Twintok on TikTok, episode 2. We are out. You want to say anything to sign off?
Thanks for keeping it PG. Appreciate it.
Yep, don't be sorry. Be better. Merch is in the link in the bio. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.